Well, good evening, one and all of the internet. My name's James Ivy.
I am not Paul Drew. Good evening, everyone. I'm Greg. How are you getting on?
And welcome to the Studio Rats Live Q&A, number 158. Returning after 2 weeks hiatus. That's a real word, isn't it?
That is a real word, but it's only hiatus for you. Everybody else has been keeping the wheels of industry turning in your absence.
Yes, terribly sorry about that. I have to thank my buddy, old pal, Mr. Greg, over there, and Lee for stepping in to fill the void.
Lee, yes.
To be honest, nobody noticed I wasn't here, to be honest. So
it was nice to get some, put the boot in on drummers a bit as well in your absence.
Yes,
so.
I appreciated that. Yes, that was lovely. Yes, I enjoyed every moment of that. You buggers. So we are back for more of the same. Slight variation on a theme, really, I suppose. Because I've been away for 2 weeks, I've got plenty to whinge about. Hey, why not? It's partly my show. I can do what I like. But as is tradition at this point in proceedings, Mr. Gregoire, what have you been up to this week?
Well, I have mostly been uploading things onto the YouTubes. Anybody that isn't away from our regulars here in the rat race, my handle here is my YouTube channel, and I've been doing a bit of editing like the clappers, which I was whinging about last week, getting a few things up. There's a couple more bits in the pipeline again. I have been organising some corporate wear, which sounds terribly posh in the way that essentially I've ordered a T-shirt that's got this on it and a QR code, because on Saturday I'm going to be meeting the absent Mr. Drew and indeed Lee at the Brighton Guitar Show down at the racecourse there.
Quite excited about that. However, sadly, with prior stuff going on, I will not be joining Yao. Very sorry about that. But,
yes,
but do have fun. Do have fun.
Yes, we're looking forward to it. Paul's trying to organise some press passes, and failing that, we'll just stump up like the rest of the public and get on with it.
They not know who we are.
Well, quite well. Who he is, anyway. I insted the chaps from Great Eastern Effects the other day, because they were advertising the fact that they're going to be down there. So I'm hoping to meet those guys, and given that we're maybe 8 miles apart in East Anglia here in the UK, I'm hoping to have a word with those guys and see what's going on. So that'll be a bit of fun. Looking forward to that. And what about your good self, Mr. Ivy? Why not explain to the dear viewers why you have been absent for the past fortnight?
So I have been on Saturday night was the culmination of 2 rehearsals, a gig up in Farra, Nottinghamshire, with celebrating George Michael, a tribute to George Michael. Nonetheless, my buddy and pal Dave West asked me to dep for their normal drummer, whose dad, it turns out, is one of you lot out there. Bizarre small world things going on. The gig went great. Had a great time. It was fun. It all happened as it should do, and I don't think I bodged up too much. So
nice. And you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it was good fun. I mean, it's not a click show, which is great, but they are quite strict about tempo and stuff, because obviously some of the synth patches, the delays are kind of set to tempo. But you know, that is kind of my job, to know about tempo and stuff and hold it down.
Yeah,
it was good. It was definitely worth having the 2 rehearsals. So thanks to the guys for putting up with me for that. But yeah, the gig was great, and hopefully, if Dino, their regular drummer, needs a gig off again, they'll ask me to do it, which is nice. And then the rest of this week has been, it's getting towards the end of term and all that sort of stuff. So I was asked if I would video the year 6 performance on Monday and tonight. So I've literally just dashed from school, throwing cameras in the car, and I got, right, I need to get back from their performance of The Wizard of Oz.
Nice.
Now, at this point, whinge number 1.
And 1.
And in 1. So here's my thing. I asked the teacher in charge of the production why it was referred to as the Road of Yellow Bricks, not the Yellow Brick Road. She went, well, we get in trouble if we call it the Yellow Brick Road. And I said, why no Somewhere Over the Rainbow, the most famous song in the show?
Mm-hmm.
Why no We're Off to See the Wizard, the one? None of the big tunes that you'd expect to be in that show were in that show.
Was it the licensing thing, or is it because
Sony,
the world has been
Sony
organised?
just go, no.
Wow.
Thou shalt not, in a kid's school where at most 50 parents watched tonight,
Mm-hmm.
and it will get circulated to, 30 kids' parents.
Yeah.
Thou shalt not use the big songs. I'm a little frustrated.
Yeah, it's underwhelming, isn't it?
It's rubbish, quite frankly, isn't it?
Yeah, I had a show like that years ago. I'm trying to think what it was. But yeah, I kind of rocked up to Bangkok thinking, oh yeah, we get to do. Oh, it's not here. It's not happening.
It would be like We Will Rock You
without
Bohemian Rhapsody. Even though the irony, of course, of saying that is that they only throw Bohemian Rhapsody in at the end as a you want it type. Yeah. Oh, it's ridiculous. I was kind of, but they're the big songs of the show. Yeah, we're not allowed to do them.
Mad. And obviously, this sort of thing would never happen. But given that there were 50 people there, who would have found out? Are they bothering to send someone down to make sure that it definitely hasn't been snuck in?
Oh, I don't know. It's one of those. It's not worth it, isn't it? It's going to be shared around parents and stuff. If it got on the internet, it would be all sorts of wrong. Could you imagine? Sony Pictures takes small primary school to court for $10 billion.
Yeah, because 8 people watched it.
Yes, because 8 people said, "Go on, do Somewhere Over the Rainbow."
God, that's crazy, isn't it? Crazy. But next, when would it be? In December, when you've got the kids' talent show, they'll do Somewhere Over the Rainbow on karaoke, and that'll be fun.
Absolutely.
The world's gone mad.
It was the constant referral to the Road of Yellow Bricks. I was like, what? It's the Yellow Brick Road. Elton John can do it. Why can't you?
Yeah.
Anyhow, should we get into some craziness that is the mass?
Let's do that.
Here we go. Shall I drive and you read?
Splendid idea. Jeff, good evening to you, sir. Or good morning, rather, in Brisbane for yourself. Welcome back, Jivey. Here, seconded. And it's great to see Larry Timmons on the show. If that doesn't cheer everyone up, nothing will. Well, thank you very much, Jeff. The reason he said that is because the last 2 videos that I've thrown up on YouTube are, in essence, an homage to the great Mr. Andy Timmons. If you do not know him and you are a guitar person, please seek him out. He will rock your world. I
think to say that you threw it up was a little harsh. I thought that was actually quite beautiful playing.
Well, thank you very much. It would have been there sooner, but for the fact that I'm still fighting like a ham-fisted buffoon whilst trying to work DaVinci and editing things. Anyway, we're getting there slowly but surely. We're getting there. There's Pet. Good evening, mate, and good evening to all from him in the northeast. Eldad Mendez Fonseca. Hi, guys, and cheers. Good evening to you. Chef. Hello, mate. Yeah. Oh, and Paul Fox. Oh, we've missed Paul out. There we are.
Yeah, I missed Paul out. It all moved.
Hello, Paul. Good evening to you, pal. Mendel. Hello, buddy. Evening all, says he. And Saifi. Hello and good evening. And the gas station rules. It rides again. How are you, Mark? Hope everything's well with you. Scent of a wheelchair pillow. See, you laugh like Dan Steinhardt laughs on TPS when Mix reads it out to him as well. Very good. You make Wednesdays great. Good to see you both. Thank you for joining us, Scent. Hello there. Atari Wolf, have you noticed certain brands such as Epiphone and PRS are testing the market regarding prices? They are charging a few £100 more for overseas mass-produced guitars. It's an interesting way of looking at it, isn't it?
The prices are definitely creeping up. I don't know if I couldn't work it out because I'm pretty sure that Caesar, I can't pronounce his surname, had been confirmed as the new head of Gibson some months ago. And yet I got a press release this week saying, all hail the new head of Gibson brands.
Yeah.
And I was like, hang on a second, I thought that happened months ago.
Yeah, news that's not news. I wonder if it was just the worst kept secret in the industry that's now finally been rubber stamped.
Mm.
Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, there are a few of those floating around at the moment.
I would love to know how many people within Gibson Towers were sad to see the other chap leave. Anyway, let's not push on with that. Good evening, Chris. Good evening to you, pal. I haven't got any to hand. However, James is now going to provide.
Damn it, I certainly have.
There we are. The weekly advertisement for the wonderful Highland Plectrum Company, owned and run by the delightful Dave McQuillan. Good evening, guys. Hope life's
check him out on Reverb.
Reverb, yes. Go and find Dave's Reverb store. There is the weekly advert. All good. Nice to see you back, James. Indeed, makes a refreshing change having someone that actually runs the show being on the show, doesn't it? There we are. Good. Nectarius, good evening to you. Dad joke alert. Let's get James's juices going. What do you call a fish with no eye? Thank you. Please don't encourage him. Jeff again. What experience do you have with Univibe style pedals? I've never considered one previously, but a Tone King Vibe 1968 will be turning up with the postman today. Wowzers.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought.
Ooh.
Hang on.
Hang on. Which one's James got? Is it the Thorpe?
No.
It's not the Thorpe. Oh no, this is the DIY, isn't it? This is the one based on Earthquaker devices. I can't remember the name, but yeah, James soldered together his very own Univibe style, complete with optical circuitry, the deep vibes. I can't remember what the name of the Earthquakers one is, but that's what that is.
I particularly like this.
It's a cracking unit, isn't it? Yeah, it does make good noises.
Yeah, for 50 something, with all the upgrades and extra good switches and nice pots and stuff, 70, 80 quid.
Yeah, still changed from a Warner, isn't it? Where when you look at, I don't know how much a Tone King Vibe 68 is, but I'm gonna guess, Jeff, that you've parted with slightly more than 100 shekels for that. My only experience with a Vibe style thing is the Digitech Expression Factory. If you look not particularly hard on the JHS Pedals channel, you will see Mr. Scott doing a review or a reminder of how great that range was. Good Lord, sorry.
Hello.
The phone just started watching us, as it were. I've stopped it now. Fear not, dear viewer. And that's got quite a nice Univibe thing in it, and because it's on a rocker pedal, you can do the slow to fast and back as required, manually in and amongst. So, yeah, it's a nice little unit. But no, I've never had a go other than that that one that James has just shown us. I've never had a crack at a standalone with the opto circuit in it, because that's the thing where the magic is, isn't it?
But So when I initially set this up, I put it in the loop, and Paul was like, "No,
yeah,
must go front end." I did not know this, so it now. Well, to be honest, I've ripped the pedal boards apart for the time being because I thought, hang on, no human being needs the amount of noise that comes from 30 different preamp pedals.
Yeah.
But this thing's great. This is one that comes out quite often for different jobs and stuff, and it's homemade and it's cheap, which is always a bonus.
Ticks a few boxes hither and thither, doesn't it?
Yes.
Tell us how you get on, Jeff. Be interesting to hear what your thoughts are on that. Nedamido, good evening. Hello. Yesterday we tried our 7th drummer since September. Wowzers. He started out by lowering bass and guitar's volume. Need to find the sweet spot first with good balance, and then we can turn it up. He continues.
He doesn't. I can't see him yet.
Or at least not yet. We will come back to it in a minute. But 7 since September. What's that? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 months and 7 drummers. It's a bit Spinal Tap, mate. You want to go easy there? Richard, good evening to you. Love the Andy Timmons videos. Thank you very much. His time in a band called Danger Danger is personal favourite. Yes. Yeah, that was the bunch that got signed, wasn't it? That was their kind of shot at the big time. Yeah, he's just astonishing, isn't he? Remarkable geezer, and seems like a thoroughly nice chap as well.
Yes.
From what I've seen. There we go. Good evening, Michael Mack. Should a bedroom player upgrade from the Boss ME80 to the 90 model? Is AIRD a big step up from Cosmo? Oh, Cosm, isn't it? I would say yes, it is. Paul is the one that really needs to answer this. However, in watching his video, discussing the unit with him, and watching a variety of others, I would say go for it, because that what's it called? Is it augmented IR design?
Something like that. I'm pretty sure that Boss come up with the acronym before they come up with what it actually means.
Right. Okay. But yeah, that's from discussions with Paul. That is absolutely the mutt. So he uses the GT1000 that's got the minuscule latency to it, almost nothing latency. As far as I can make out, that's what the AIRD bit brings to the multi-effects, the floor-mounted unit. So if you've got the cash, and let's face it, it's changed from 400 quid for that thing. I'm sure the ME80s are going to be like grass in a farmer's field in the next few months on eBay. But if you can get any sort of money for shopping that in to upgrade, why not? Because it looks like it does everything. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting my mitts on one of those at the weekend.
Nice.
Yes. Julio, good evening and greetings from Brazil.
Lovely.
To you.
Al,
how are you? Evening, guys. Hope you're well. Missed the last couple due to being stuck in silly season. Any exciting new toys purchased recently?
Well, there's the stuff that I haven't been able to show because the last show I was on,
Bournemouth.
Were we in Bournemouth?
Yeah, it's the one that we did from the hotel bedroom, wasn't it?
Okay, well, I can show some of the other stuff that has appeared, which is kind of cool.
It's definitely allowed. You're not going to do a Paul Drew on it.
No. So you've all seen this.
Yes.
Right. We've done a video on this guitar, and it's kin awesome. I've now given it a bit of a tweak and a setup and some strings and some new strings and stuff, and it's only become more kin awesome.
And the thing that we missed on the video?
Ready?
Coil tap.
It's got coil taps. So, yeah, even more of an actual useful guitar. So, this is staying.
Cool.
Because I don't have a guitar that goes chuggity chug 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 quite as appropriately and as articulately as this one does.
The irony of stumbling over that. Well batted. Yeah. It's a good joke. You did it on purpose, didn't you?
Of course, yes. So, do hold.
Yes.
Right, here you go. Now, neither of these things are particularly light, so they will not be staying in shot for very long. But
Delaney.
Oh my God! Believe it or not, this cabinet, which is a bit wider than me, is, believe it or not, a 2x12.
Yes.
This is a Laney
LC.
Is it an LC? Yeah.
Or you got the VC and I've got the LC. I can't remember which way it is. It's on the small white label. Yeah, it's a Laney.
I'll tell you. Hang on, I'll tell you because it's on here. Hang on. It is it's a VC30. It's a VC.
VC, right. So I've got the LC in the garage.
Right. This thing sounds bonkers. Bonkers good. Really impressed. And it's, a 2x12 in, something that's quite easily not much bigger. The irony, of course, is so that's a 2x12. Lovely valve 30-watt thing.
In the style of the people from Vox.
Yars. This thing.
Crash wallet.
Oh my God. Oh, nearly.
Steady.
Oh. That would have been so good, wouldn't
Vintage
it?
30.
Yeah.
There it is. Here it is, me beauties. Smell the
Does
glove is here.
does like a Cornford, as we have been known to say out loud. This is a Harlequin Mark 1. And again, it's all kinds of awesome.
Yeah.
But this 1x12 is bigger than the Laney 2x12.
Yeah, it's bananas, isn't it?
So that's a bit awesome. We're gonna, Paul's coming over for the next couple of days. So we're going to do some videos on these lovely toys. However, do hold, they're heavy. However, I'm going to have to turn the laptop and camera to show you this one. Look up. Hang on. Oh, God. Come on, brain. Up.
Got there in the end.
There.
Another Vox. And what does the small tagger on the bottom right, as we look, say?
50th anniversary AC30 head.
Tasty.
And I tell you what, that is not going anywhere. It sounds glorious. It also smells glorious when you wind it up. And that's an awesome thing. The other two, I think I'll shift on.
Yep.
Because they're worthy videos. But that's staying. The Vox is definitely staying.
I'd be very interested to hear the Laney and the Vox A bead. You know, what does a real Vox sound like against this is in the style of Vox? That'd be quite an interesting thing, at least for a while, I would have thought. What else was I going to say? So that Laney, you've got 2x12, heavy as Billio. If it's any consolation, the 1x12 that I've got similarly weighs a metric ton. It's absolutely bonkers, the weight. And I presume it's as much as anything else down to whatever they've knocked the cabinet together.
Yeah, they don't tend to build that chipboard.
Yeah. Feisty.
Nice. So those will appear in videos over the next few days. I haven't yet got around to tweaking the Gilmore-esque. What's the term?
Parts caster.
I haven't got around to tweaking that yet, but I will do. William, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Well battered, William. Hi, James and Greg. A few questions to both of you. Favorite chord, major and minor.
Okay.
Favorite scale, major and minor. Regards.
Favorite chord, major.
Ooh, major 7.
Yep. Because it goes, look at me. Yeah. And my other favorite is.
Ooh, what's that? Some sort of.
It's a B.
Something.
It's a BF demented, I think.
It's a BFG.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but it works on.
Ooh, there it is.
Crunchy chords. Favorite scale. Major pentatonic. It works for everything. I'm not good enough to do anything more than that.
Fair play. This guitar, A, I haven't used it in anger for a while, but B, it's in C. So I'm just going to do the shape of if I can sort it. The A minor that I like is, what's that going to be there? So that's going to be the A on the D string at the 7th fret and the C on the G string at the 5th fret, and then open A, D, G as fretted, open B, open E at the top.
Right.
Top as in
closest
to my toes rather than closest to my nose. Yes. That I think is a lovely A minor variant. Beautiful thing. But I can't play it. Well, I can, but it sounds entirely different on a guitar tuned to open C.
Yeah.
There we go. And favourites, major is just the big old spread. So my third finger is not on there. It's an E, but with a 6. Beautiful thing. Sorry, not 6. It's a 9, isn't it? Or a 2, depending on how you're looking at it. Yeah, I like that. And occasionally, when you're doing every breath you take, that's a bit of fun. And when you do it in a position whereby you can get your 2 open B and E strings on the go as well, delightful.
I find that I like chords sometimes that aren't really chords. So, for example, one of my favorite kind of funk grooves is.
Yep.
I mean, there's nothing to it.
Yeah.
And anyone who watches my Antelope video that's coming in a couple of weeks will witness that. I've spent most of the day playing it. I think the phrase that I definitely like with chords and everything like that is "keep it simple, stupid."
Yeah. Apply the rule of KISS. Can't go wrong. What are your favourites, William, in response? And indeed everybody else.
Yep.
David, good evening to you. Bought a jet because of Paul and Lee. Already looking for a replacement humbucker, and it hasn't even arrived yet. Anyone know what size the humbucker for the bridge? I do not. Was it
Lee? If anyone knows, Lee will know.
No.
I've already posted the links, so anyone who wants to join us, they're up there somewhere. So if anybody wants to join us, please do chime in. Yeah.
I don't know. I've not got my mitts on one of these jets yet, David. I did clock after watching the show. No, I was in the show last week, wasn't I? With Paul, that they're bringing out some new models again, and I presume that's them doing what Kia Autos did here in the UK about 30 years ago. We'll start absolutely bottom dollar and just progressively work our way up to actually that's nice car for a nice amount of money. So yeah, I guess that this next kind of tranche of models that they're going to bring out is going to be slightly less cost effective, but with even more bells and whistles. I'm amazed that Lee hasn't been sent one yet.
If they are as cost effective as we know they are, how brilliant is a £700 jet going to be?
Yeah, well, yeah, quite. Yeah,
what
else are they going to do?
When anyone says jet, I think everyone should go woo woo woo.
Defo.
Every time.
I wonder if they're going to start winding their own pickups, but like really make a go of it. You know how PRS have been chopping up wildly expensive pickups to see exactly how it's done, and kind of unraveling the enigma, as it were. I wonder if Jet are going to go down that route in order to justify, well, the extra money's gone here, there, or wherever. Be interested to see. The 59 sound. Have you guys ever done a custom guitar build? I am Warmouth. Currently speccing out a chambered telly build with 2 P90s and an F-hole. I plan to take a crack at finishing it with Rattlecan Nitro. I have been tempted to do the same thing in terms of the Nitro finish, the 59 sound. In short, no, I haven't. The closest I've ever got to butchering a guitar is that thing, which used to look like a Hank Marvin S-type, I should say, for fear of copyright infringement. And I put new harness in it, new pickups, changed the pick guard, blocked out the trem, took all the horrible poly finish off, and went to town with a variety of Monty's products. I guess the closest you've got thus far is the parts caster that you picked up from the auction.
Yes,
it's going to have slightly more things done to it before it's ready for a run out, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, let me just grab it because I mean we've talked about it a little bit. Again, this hasn't had any TLC or love yet, and I'm sure Paul will have a look at it over the weekend, over this week, and go, what on earth have they done to that G string? Because I wonder the same. But yeah, I mean, this thing is kind of Gilmore-esque. It's got actually quite a nice made in USA neck on it with lock-in tuners. The body's been butchered, but
yeah,
am I that bothered, really? If I was to gig with this, everyone would go, "Oh, you're a Dave Gilmour fan." Okay,
Yeah. Guilty
great.
as charged. Yeah.
But it works. You know, I'm not sure if it's an American body. I don't even know how you could tell. But as we know, it's that baby that makes this thing valuable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Abigail Ybarra center
Yeah.
pickup thing's got. I will say it doesn't match
No.
tonally. It doesn't even come close to matching. But
Mm.
you definitely know this one's something special, and these are quite good. So
Yeah. I'd be
more.
surprised if it was an American body, given the fact that he has butchered the bejesus out of it.
Yeah, it is definitely a poly finish, not nitro, because it's not been
Mm.
done very sympathetically. But you know, it's a reasonable guitar. There's a video in it, and as a especially if we strip the pickup out and it is what we think it is, then it's instantly worth the money.
Couple of shekels. It'd be worth the 59 sound. Having a look at John Cordy's channel, because I think it was a week and a half back, he did another sort of discussion or review of his own parts casters. He's got a Strat type and a Tele type, both of which, surprise, surprise, he makes sound like phenomenal guitars. But yeah, in terms of just general info about it, if you are, as you say, currently speccing, you might get a few steers from the knowledge that John's acquired. I should say, Mr. Cordy, I've never met John. I'm unlikely to meet the bloke. I just feel like I know him the same way I feel like I know all manner of YouTubey types. But yeah, you might get some useful pointers from what he's got to say as a result of finding yourself 15 or 20 minutes to catch up on his output. Al's back. Did you shift your 900, James?
Nope, I didn't.
No.
It was on eBay. There was not a sniff of interest. And to be honest, I just couldn't. I couldn't let it go for
Peanuts.
no money. For no
Yeah.
money. I'd rather have it as a thing. The only thing I would do is if I found a head, I would then chop it in. But at the moment, I haven't found a head, and they all seem to be going for silly money at the moment. It's amazing how much the number makes a difference.
Oh, yeah.
900s you can get for about 500 quid. 800s, nothing under $1,000 at the moment.
Yeah.
And I sold mine for next to nothing.
Captain Hindsight.
Yeah. Yes. But if you're interested, Al, you know, I could be persuaded.
Victorious. I never miss a show from the Studio Rats and that pedal show. A man of refined tastes. Any similar shows? I would. Well, let's just go through the main food groups as far as I'm concerned. Watch Tim Pierce. Watch Pete Thorne. John Cordy is a cracking watch.
Josh Scott, purely because he's hilarious.
Yeah, and his knowledge. I would love to see a mastermind edition with Dan, Mick, and Josh just doing something for charity. That'd be awesome.
Yes,
those guys know their onions. They're very much on the hit list. Let me go to my subscriptions, see who else comes up. Tom Bukovac. If you seek him out as Tom Bukovac or Homeschooling or 501 Chorus, 5 Watt World is brilliant.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, he's good. Brett Papper's worth a watch. Paul Davids.
We should put Rhett Scholl in there as well, because I've learned a lot of stuff from him.
True enough, yeah. And by extension, Mr. Beato, for whom Mr. Scholl used to work. Chris Buck is worth a watch because he plays some cracking good stuff. Rabia Massad.
Great in REM.
Yeah, that as well. Sasha Ivantic is good. He does things in the style of that pedal show in terms of deep dives on pedals and doesn't seem to deviate too much from that. If you want some real in-depth stuff, have a look at Tone Talk, which is Dave Friedman and his pal having a real good chew of the fat. They get into real detail. Their shows will go a couple of hours and more on occasion. If it's not necessarily YouTube-based content, I would urge you to look at the podcast, The Truth About Vintage Amps, which again is absolutely cork sniff stuff. It really goes into detail.
I love that phrase, cork sniffing. I really do.
It's but again, that geezer, the amount of knowledge that just pours forth in every episode is astonishing. It's like I don't know whereabouts in the world you are, Nectarius, but it's the equivalent of like an A level, or the last thing you do at school before you start doing a degree level thing. Every week there's something astonishing that you learn from that. Those would be my things. Anybody else on your hit list, James, guitar wise?
I don't. To be honest, I don't tend to get too guitar-y. I still kind of live in a sort of fairly pro audio space, so I do watch Henning.
Yes,
because he's funny in a terribly German kind of way, but that it's amusing. I love Pete Thorne because what's not to love? The guy's an amazing player. That's not a bad place to start though, in my opinion.
RJ Ronquillo as well. Throw him in the mix. He's good. He's real good.
At this point, we should, of course, say thank you to.
Nice one, Nedamido. Good man. I wrote a second message about the drummer problems and another to explain the Spinal Tap-like situation.
Let's get to that because we can jump into that fairly easily. Hang on. All right. It's a nice sound. Yeah. No, yes.
Oh, here we go. Greg, 7th drummer in 10 months.
Hang on, we got that one. I never miss a show. Yes, fine. Where are we? Let's go down in order, otherwise we get lost.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll come back to it. John McGuigan, good evening to you, sir. Did a gig a couple of weeks ago. Turned around after one song to see a golden retriever sitting in my guitar case. Well, it's nice. Comfy.
A golden retriever is the ultimate pet dog, isn't it?
Brilliant. Oh Lord. Strangest
big story. Oh God, I've got thousands. Okay, so we did one. It was a wedding in a beautiful stately home in Stowmarket in Suffolk, which is not a million miles from Gregoire.
20 minutes down the road.
And I remember we were loading in, we've got flight cases and stuff on wheels and stuff. And in the middle of the dance floor is the wedding cake. And I'm thinking, right, we mustn't tonk the wedding cake. And I could see this wedding cake was like this. I mean, it was well over already.
Already in bother.
And I said, it was quite a hot day and clearly they hadn't put spikes under it. Whatever you do with wedding cakes, this is the studio rats, not the wedding cake rats. Although I do feel that somewhere in my brain is Wedding Cakes of the World, a book that is yet to be written. Anyway, I said to the manager of the band, I said, look, we should tell someone because if that goes for a Burton, they're going to blame us.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to get someone. We said, yeah, it looks a bit rough, doesn't it? And she said, yeah, we'll get it sorted. Anyway, the next flight case that came in, wedding cake went. I mean, I didn't catch that. No one caught it. That was the problem.
No, that was the issue. That was the funniest thing the series ever done.
Was epic. It was, proper explosion in the wedding cake factory. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm not sure that's the funniest, but oh God, it sticks out in my mind now. There are so many funny ones, like the time that the bass player singer, we went on stage and the first thing he did was hello and went and emptied his bowels on stage.
Let's not mention names. It's been mentioned enough, but in close proximity to that tale, let's not. Dear Lordy McLordigan. When Jamie the keyboard player's gear just went for a Burton. Happily playing away, and then the sound stopped. The X became an underscore. Yeah, the stand just went. That was the end of it.
I'll keep a band years and years ago used to have one of those 3-tier aluminium frame jobbies straight out of 1986.
Yes.
And he used to have a DX7, a D50, and the bottom one he used for the mixer.
Right.
We had a SEC 24 into 2 thing. And I remember the D50 was always put on really short cables because obviously it was directly. And one day we were gigging, and the SEC just dropped to the floor. The bottom one just fell out. But everything, those things were built like tanks. Everything kept going, apart from the D50, where the plugs just came straight out. And he was like,
"What's going on?" Man alive. Man alive.
I mean, there are hundreds. There's a book in there of adventures of a gigging musician.
Indeed.
Moving on swiftly.
DMAC, hey guys, have you ever downgraded a guitar? Example, go from a standard to a studio or a USA to a Mexican. Curious on your opinions. I have not. I don't know if it's the northerner in me or what, but I have never been a hoarder of guitars. There have been more than one occasion where I would have liked to have had more. Still, frankly, like to have more now, but I don't just jump in. So I very much work up, as it were, DMAC. So I've got nothing useful to throw into this debate. What about you? Well, I mean, you've got a lot of guitars on the walls over there, haven't you? For a drummer.
Yeah. My son came in the other day and counted up. There are 29 guitars in here now. Yeah. I definitely don't think I'm a guitar snob.
No.
Because on the walls are Mexicans, Japanese, Americans. There's a PRS over there still that I'm still not sure if I want to get rid of. There's this thing now that's not particularly, hasn't got much of a provenance. I'm not really a guitar snob, so to say I'm going, yes, I'd love to get a real 335. I'd love to get a Murphy Lab 335. That would be an incredible guitar. Yeah. But as we also know, you get a Gibson 335 these days, and they're not necessarily the guitars you might hope they're going to be.
Yes, well, we had touched on this point briefly last week. The fact that the second last instrument that I took over to the wonderful Guitar Lodge in Felixstowe for all your guitar needs, anybody in the southeast of England, was my Pals 335, and it was having things sorted out by gun that the Gibson plecking machine had got wrong. You think, for heaven's sake, if they're coming out of the factory like that, and then they're going to a large retailer in the south of England who aren't bothering to do any basic checks before flinging it out the door, not great.
Interesting that Andertons now have a plec machine.
Yes, I clocked that they've got one of those.
Their channel of YowTube. That's going to clearly mean they want more kind of supporty type business, because you don't go and buy one of those unless you're serious about guitar repairs and guitar maintenance. Or it means they've been bringing so much stuff in that's rough.
Couldn't possibly comment.
Moving on.
Steve Cassidy guitar, evening rats and all, late again, but glad to join you. Thank you for joining us, Steve. I hope you've had a decent day, even if it's got you in late for the kickoff of this old shenanigans. Right, Ned's back. Here we go. So, I've had 7 drummers in 10 months, bit Spinal Tap, as we had suggested. Our drummer had his second child and had no more time. Fair enough. We had 2 guys 1 month each that lasted a month each, and tried 4 that just didn't get it. It's not fun for them either. Well, true enough. I guess it must be, what was the last audition you went to that you didn't get? There's another one to discuss in the comments as well, I suppose.
Republica for me.
Was it?
Yeah, I went to be the drummer for Republica, and Pete Riley got it. Who knew? He's
fair enough.
A bit better than me. That was going back some, but there is nothing like. We've all joked. I mean, everyone's seen the drummer who does all the kind of that stuff, hasn't those videos? The wrong drummer at the wrong gig. We've all joked about it, but there is nothing quite as bad as knowing you're out of place.
Right. Yeah,
that
yeah,
your style is not working. Now,
yeah.
if you're a quote unquote session drummer, which I'd like to think I kind of am, your job is to play the right style for the track. And I
Sure.
think that's a session muso thing over necessarily just someone who plays drums because they enjoy, or plays an instrument because they enjoy it.
Yeah,
A session muso will generally make it work and fit in because that's what they're paid to do. But
sure.
if you're Ned, I'm assuming, I don't know why I'm assuming this, but you're hard rock or prog metal or something probably quite clever, which is quite specific to the style of drumming. And if the guy's not getting it, he's just not getting it, or he's just not getting it. So,
Yep.
and as we all know, the standard jokes, even though clearly Mr. Farra and Mr. Drew decided to attempt to rip me a new one last week with their drumming joke antics. Yes, words have been had. We all know the standard joke that a great drummer in a good band can equal a great band. An average drummer in a great band, the band will only be average. Sorry, boys and girls, but it's true.
Sits in the engine room.
Yarp.
Al's back. Have you tried any PJD's guitars? They're based about 20 minutes from my house up here in East Yorkshire. Yeah, up in York, aren't they? I've tried a few out and looking at getting one custom built in coming weeks. I wouldn't mind being a pound behind you, Al. I was looking at that very same range just this afternoon as a result of watching Graham Coxon throwing his one up in the air on stage at Wembley this weekend. Not that I was at that Blur gig, but there's a bit floating around on Instagram of Graham flinging that guitar up in the air, and I thought, I wonder just how much that thing's worth. I wouldn't be throwing it anywhere. I haven't tried one, but yeah, I saw it and thought, oh yes, the one that looks vaguely Leicester inspired with an F-hole, chambered body, P90 and a humbucker. That looks tasty. Yeah, but it's I mean that guitar is worth more than my car. So yes, all relative.
At this point,
well batted. Thank you, John. Good man. Thanks to James for advice on buying a bass. Went with a Siren, loving it. Great stuff. Just need to learn how to play it now. It's the old conundrum, isn't it? Yes. Yeah, we've discussed a couple of times in recent months about Sires, haven't we? Away from the channel. So yeah, I'm pleased that that's working out for you, John. And also to hear, without any sort of agenda, you've gone and bought one and you're loving it. It's making me think perhaps I'll go that direction myself. Interesting. Good for you, pal. Glad you're having fun. Ned's back. It's strange. It wrote genres in the ad, and I mentioned bands like My Bloody Valentine, Shiner, The Life and Times, and yet drummers who don't get it and don't play like that want to try, wasting our time. It is odd, isn't it? But I wonder if it's just too great an opinion of their own self of, okay, I understand you're asking for these things, however I can do this, and I'm going to turn up to that audition and wow them and make them all understand that they were wrong with their ad. This is the direction they should go in. Is that it? I don't know.
I mean, I'm assuming at this stage that all drummers can read.
As in words or dots?
Words.
Okay, right.
So before someone else jumps in and takes the what. I don't know. I mean, the last two kind of ads I replied to, I was so utterly fed up with the state of the bands that I was I was auditioning for. I put something, I said, look, and I think it went along the lines of shit hot sticks man needs gig. If you are a good band and you want someone who can play the drums, give me a call.
Right.
No more than that or less than that. Because quite frankly, I could say influences Toto and Dream Theater and no one's going to book me.
Yeah, sure.
But it's different. I'm not a weekend warrior, and there's nothing wrong with being a weekend warrior. It's just that, well, that we all started that way. We all did it as teens and kids and whatever.
Yeah.
But as I've said as well, it's got to be financially worth it these days as well.
Yes, factor, isn't it? It's a factor.
Because I have children who I like seeing. A lot of people don't like seeing their own children. I do. So,
ditto. Duncan, good evening, studio rats, and a very good evening to you, sir. Hope you're well wherever you are in the world. Paul's back. Hello, Paul. Evening. Nice to see both you two. Let's get some more likes in, people. What a very well-timed thing to say, Paul. Thank you for that. I will, as on the occasional member of the studio rats, please urge you as well to please like what these guys do. It takes, as James has just said, he likes seeing his kids, and he's just snuck through the house without seeing them in order to get out here and do this evening. And every time they do this Wednesday night hang, the algorithm monkeys at YouTube Towers start getting a bit itchy and fractious. It doesn't work for the benefit of their channel to sit and create this little community of a Wednesday evening. So hitting the like button doesn't cost you too much bother or cause you too much bother, but it does make a big difference for these lads. So please take Paul's advice and hit that button, one and all.
There is, where are we in the month? Hang on a second. There is, before we next come around to this craziness that is, before I say this, I'm going to make sure I got this right. I'm not going to say anything controversial at any point. No, it's a bit of a lie. We will be back on again before we have a massive announcement, and it's going to be very, very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But this time next week, Paul and I will be quite literally on the edge of our seats.
Yes,
with excitement.
So
yeah, there's some really cool stuff coming, and it's thanks to you guys who are, the core of our community. The fact that these things can even happen. So please, if you're not registered or signed up on or liked and subscribed and all that sort of stuff, please do. It takes 30 seconds. We don't obliterate you with spam mail or anything like that. It's just so you get a little ping when we post a video, basically.
Mm-hmm. Jolly helpful. Sense back. Thoughts on NAMM? Think there is a chance it makes a comeback. Sad to see it dwindle these past 3 years. I suspect it will be bigger again in January than it was.
Well, I'll let you know, because Paul and I we booked our flight, hotel, and car yesterday for January. I think the time for NAMM is January. I understand why they've eased it back through June and April and stuff. Obviously, I went in April. It was really good. I really enjoyed the show. I don't think NAMM will ever be the same again, because I think trade shows, to a certain extent, have run their course. But that's not why NAMM is successful. NAMM is successful for all the other stuff that happens, all the parties, events, off the show floor stuff that happens. It will be successful because us Europeans go, woohoo! A week of sunshine in January. It won't vanish. NAMM as an organisation is too big.
Yeah.
I like it. It's now, if you launch product at a show, that is the show you launch at. Now, we all know, because of this wonderful thing called the internet, you don't have to launch at a show anymore, but plenty of people still do choose to do that. I think this January might be interesting. I think the big companies will be back. I think Gibson and Fender will have their spaces again, because they've saved their marketing budgets for the last 4 years. You can't count the 2 middle years, because obviously there was that little thing called COVID that got in the way. So we've had 2 shows that have been interesting. Summer NAMM's is an interesting one, because that is mostly a hang. It's not about the show or anything like that. It is mostly the hang. So I don't know, but we'll be there. We decided we're going to do like we did the last day, where we had the live stream from the show floor. We're going to do that every day. We're going to do that each of the 4 days. They're back to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday this year, which is great, because that 4th day I think is really valuable. I actually felt kind of a bit cheated
Rushed.
by NAMM
Yeah.
because I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't get my day to really walk the show and enjoy it. But yeah, we'll be there with bells on. Why we're going to wear bells, I don't know, but got to wear something.
Fair play. William, hi, James and Greg. Favourite chords would be the same. Would be some of the chords in the Dream Theater song "Another Day." It's into your realm here, James. G-sharp minor.
It's all very moving bass line on the same chord progression. Yeah, it's lovely.
Nice. And you're a Mixolydian man.
Oh.
Nice one, William. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else want to chime in on that?
I never use scales where I can't spell.
I just use the major and start in a different note. Poo Ninja, hello. Dogs like guitars. I like guitars. Some would say that makes me a dog. There we are. Okay. Dave, the 59 Sound. An Argel Tufnell custom build some years ago. Finished with rattle can nitro. Word of warning, watch out for high humidity. Can lead to a cloudy finish. Interesting. Useful tip, David. Nice.
Like
that. Keith. Now, Keith, that is a new name to me.
It's not to me. I've played on his album.
Oh, right. There we are then. What guitars is that then that Keith, does he own them or simply like them?
Is that Mitten guitars?
I can't read it on there.
Looks like Mitten to me, but that could just be me.
Good evening, Keith. And glad to reconnect you with one of your former employees. We've been chatting in the past weeks about Toto member albums, specifically Stevie Boy. Give Joe Williams record. Should that be? Did Joe Williams record Denizen Tennant a spin? Oh, give Joe Williams his record a spin. I'm going to get
here's
a choice to do it right now.
So there's a couple of interesting things. Joseph Williams, second singer with Toto, actually technically third. Who's his dad?
Keith?
No. John.
Oh, really?
Yes. Who is the voice of Simba in the singing voice of Simba in The Lion King? Joseph Williams.
I thought you were going to say Keith. That would have been awesome.
Well, Keith.
Okay. It's got naughty words in it.
The album that does specifically spring to mind recently is the new David Paich album. It's very good. Okay. It's quite short, but it is. It's a Toto album without the words Toto on it.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah, there's some great. I love Candyman. The Steve Lukather album is one of my favorites, just because every song on there is an absolute banger. Jeff Porcaro didn't need to do a solo album because he was on everybody else's.
Yeah, fair enough.
And anything Simon Phillips has touched with Protocol, yes, if you like that sort of thing, yes, that's the band I'd like to play in, but I'm not that good.
There's a question. What band would you like to play in if you could keep up with them? But we'll come back to that.
Toto. Every time, Toto.
God, you've already got the hair. So there we go.
Some would say I've already got the face when Simon Phillips was in the band.
Very good. Hollywood, I want to know what your actual name is rather than your band name. But anyway, good evening to you, sir. 2 favourite guitars I own and why. My 2000 and... What year did we do that gig? That first gig? 6?
6, yeah. Well, good. Yeah.
So it's a 2005 American Telly, which is just a standard 3-tone sunburst. The neck pickup upon which I have in the past and still on occasion would do entire gigs on. There's something, we've talked earlier about, have you ever downgraded to an lesser model? There's nothing particularly special about that American Telly or specifically that pickup. But by God, it's just that wonderful round, the lipstick sound. It's I still find myself on occasion just sitting around while the TV's on, looking at that guitar. I think it's a marvelous thing. We've been through a lot of miles together as well, to the extent that Gunn refretted the thing for me a couple of months back, because I've played them down. And the other would be my electroacoustic, which I have had since probably 2001 or 2002, and it was purchased from a now defunct music store near Leeds in the north of England, and they quite astutely went to Indonesia, got a gig with, or an agreement in place with a factory there, and bought them in themselves, so they didn't have to pay a distributor fee, and they were able to pass on better spec at a lower price to the end user, of whom I am one. And it's got the good top on it that just gets better the more it gets played, and it looks adequate. The back of it's very pretty as well. The neck fits my hand nicely. There's nothing particularly brilliant spec-wise about it, but it's just a really nice sounding electroacoustic guitar. And again, we've been through a goodly number of scrapes together. So as much as anything else, aside from sound, the why is because there are years invested in both of those instruments, Hollywood. I can think of this gig, that party that I played at, that time I recorded such and such, that time I met whoever. It was like, what's that guitar? I'll have a go, mate, see what you make of it. Just, things like that. Those are my two. What about you, James?
I do tend to go through phases of which ones get played the most. I would say at the minute, this is definitely up in line.
You'll notice, Dave, I didn't ask him what his favourite snare drums are. Anyway, don't say anything. He's back.
So this, we've done a video on this before. It's is it Mexican? Yes, Mexican Nashville Telly. And this is a brilliant guitar.
You two both gushed about that when it arrived, didn't you? Yeah.
It is a properly beautiful guitar. And I actually prefer this to my American now.
Yep.
That is a guitar that's going nowhere. I've been using this for a lot of stuff recently because the extra pickup just makes it that extra bit more versatile. And yeah, it's beautiful. And the other one, he says, I'm gonna have to try and reach this thing now because there's all sorts of speaker cabinets in the way. Do hold.
I am unable to drive from this end, otherwise I'd move along. But
this is the best guitar I should not own.
Nice.
Because it is way beyond any acoustic guitar that I should ever own.
Ooh,
it's actually it's been on the wall for a while. It's the best recording guitar I've ever heard. This thing is the best acoustic guitar I've ever played. I've ever heard anybody else play. It's beautiful. It's Patrick James Eggle. It's a sort of Saluda, so they call it a Dreadnought style body. It's beautiful. This will never be sold.
Nice.
Ever. I should put that back there, and we'll talk about more things later. I'm going to do this quickly.
I've seen Good Evening, Lord Bransty. Is that a new name? That's not a name that rings bells with me. Good evening and welcome, dear sir. I've seen two amazing vids this week about the new X Mighty Space Practice Amp. Sounds fantastic for home use. Have you tried one? Keep up the great work. I shall accept the kind words about the great work on behalf of Mr. Drew and Mr. Ivy rather than myself. I am going to look up the new X Mighty
Is it not pronounced Nux? Or am I...
I believed it was pronounced Nux until I heard, I can't remember if it was Pete Thorne or Rabia saying it's actually New X.
Okay.
So, yeah, New X amps. If you want to crack on with the next one, I will have a look.
Well, I was going to get in to all things the news.
Newsy. Well, look, I'm not advertising for Mr. Bezos. That new X thing looks to me.
That looks like a Roland box,
It
or
does, doesn't it?
doesn't it? It looks like something Roland put
Positive
out.
grid type thing.
Yeah, Roland put out a few years ago that didn't do quite that beveled, that sort of curvy front looks very Roland-esque. But hey, for how much money?
13% off, £163 and a couple of pennies on top. Gain volume. It's got delay and reverb built in. It's got some sort of drum style built into it as well. It's got an auxiliary in and headphones out. It's got Bluetooth type receiver in it, so it's going to work as a boom box in the kitchen or wherever as well. It might be a thing. Guitar or bass mode with dedicated amp models and effects. Bluetooth connectivity for streaming and app control, built-in drum machine, rechargeable as well. Full stereo speaker system with bass radiator.
Nice.
Does the bass need to be warm? I don't know.
I see what you did there. I wish you hadn't, but I see what you did there.
I don't know, Lord Bransty. It's not something that necessarily appeals to me per se. Maybe we should get Paul to just buy one on Amazon, open it for a day and send it back, and then plant a tree to offset the carbon footprint that he'll create, and just give it a whirl. Might be worth a look.
Should we do Das News?
In fact, just before we do that, rather than that sort of very reductive response, Lord Bransty, since you've thrown a tenner at the query, what is it specifically that you want it to do? What other options might we be able to point you in the direction of so that you can make a balanced decision before parting with your hard-earned cash?
Because I would say the obvious alternative is Spark.
Yeah.
Is it Spark? There's a mini Spark now.
Yeah, there's an unbelievably small one, but I must confess, and it's not first-hand experience, but I've seen a number of people say, just imagine something that's turned up the size of a phone or smaller, sounds like a matchbox and doesn't sound great. Who'd have thought it? There's only so much good.
The original Spark 30 actually sounds very good.
Yep. Yeah. The only reason I'm about to put mine on the big selling website in the sky is because I don't need it. I've got a Katana head that does everything that does perfectly well. So, Lord Bransty, if you're in the market for a positive grid Spark, there might be one available. Anyway, come back in the comments while we're doing the news, Lord, and we'll see if we can give you some better options or alternatives at least. Right, I need to share at this point. I was waiting for you to do it.
I'll share first because I can.
You go first. Okay.
This came up on my radar this week. We love all things Boss Katana, depending on where you're from, and Waza. Because I can't help but say it like that. There is now a Waza 4x12. Now the thing is,
what is the difference between the Katana Artist 100 head and the Katana 100 head? And then what's the difference between a 2x12 and a 4x12 that says Waza?
But I think that looks the absolute, who.
Feisty, doesn't it? Is that a bass head on top of it?
No, I think that's the. Actually, what even is that? I can't even tell.
A lot of grills on the front, isn't it?
Yeah, I suspect there's lights and LEDs and all sorts in there. But the thing that particularly made me kind of go, ooh, was a lot of things. But I then looked at the price of this thing and went, excuse me?
Wowzers.
Wazzers.
Wowzers. That is a lot of cash, isn't it?
It's a lot of cash for a 4x12.
I mean, how much is
the equivalent Marshall's? About 600 quid.
It does seem like a lot of cash. What's it made out of? Does it say on there? It's like marine ply. No. Well, yeah, it's myrrh, frankincense. It's got the odor of frankincense, and it's made out of myrrh, and it's got gold piping around the edge of the grill cloth.
Yes.
I mean, even if it was 18mm marine ply,
but a solid birch, even.
yeah, it is a lot of cash, isn't it? But then I have never tried one. I don't know if Paul's tried one of the Wazza
Well,
speakers.
what's going to be interesting is there's one coming. One of these is coming this way.
Oh, right. Well, we'll
And
give it a
what's
whirl then,
equally interesting is it's a B cab, so it's the straight cab, not the angled. So it can go on the bottom of a Marshall. So the Marshall 4x12A can go on top, and
Nice.
so that'll be good fun. That'll
It'll be
give me
rock
a
and roll, won't it?
full on Marshall stack, baby.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
What?
I want to.
Yeah, I'm thinking that they've put a lot of time and money into the R&D of the speaker that they've created.
Yes.
So presumably a feisty chunk of that price tag is the 4 bits that are being adequately protected. Is it stereo? I can't see on that picture.
Looks like a
Too
mono
small.
cab. It is just mono.
Wowzers.
Yeah, it's a mono cab.
Well, we shall all be interested to hear the Studio Rats judgment on it once it's arrived and had a bit of play. Are you going to do that thing of just setting a loop up overnight? Because you can do that in Dave, given that it's silent, and just let it play itself in, get all those combs broken in.
Yeah,
excellent.
Yes, because it will feel tight. And Gunn had a 4x12A and he had a really old JCM 800B, and the B was old and knackered and worn in, but my God, it sounded good.
Yeah,
it sounded so good.
Nice.
Right, so we are called the Studio Rats, so I'm going to talk about studio things just for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this was launched this week. This is Antelope Audio, who what's the phrase? Full disclosure, I work with the team at Antelope Audio. I've worked on some of these plugins. I've worked on the videos for a lot of this stuff, and I think their stuff's really, really good. Now, my criticism is not about their offering. It is not about plugins or whether to use plugins that rely on DSP, a la Universal Audio's plugin offering versus, that sort of thing. What has annoyed me is this. So this is their Synergy Core native offering, and it works out that if you go for a monthly option, if you go for monthly, it's €14.95 a month, euros.
Okay.
Right? For what is at the moment 33 plugins, but will be more as the development cycle continues. Okay. Now, what annoys me the most is the amount of people who have been jumping up and down saying, how dare they charge a subscription model? Because, of course, plugin development doesn't cost anything.
It's free. You just wander over in the R&D department. You wander over to the cupboard, open the door, and go, "There it is. Let's just hand it out to people." Let's
have that. And of course, stuff doesn't cost. And then now, I'm not going to say that Antelope have handled this particularly brilliantly by. If it is true, and I do not know if it is true, people have claimed they've had their comments deleted from YouTube videos, which is a bit naughty in my opinion. But there are plenty of other companies who also have a subscription model who are not getting a hard time, who also make hardware. Now, UAD Spark is, in my opinion, and it is my opinion, it is not fact, it is not the opinion of this channel, UAD Spark is a way to go, shit, we need to make some money. I know, let's make our stuff native.
Yeah.
And I'm not reliant on UA hardware. You could say exactly the same thing with Antelope. They've gone, we need to make some money off this. Let's release it natively so it works on your host-based computer, PC or Mac, rather than just relying on Antelope hardware. And Slate have gone, we make plugins. Let's sell them and let's do it at a monthly subscription. $9.99. UA Spark, I think, is about the same. And Antelope is, say, €15. It's €14.95 euros. But if you go for the annual, it's cheaper.
Cool.
So they all work out, give or take, about the same.
Yeah. What is, because you, as you say, you are part of that team on occasion. What is the best plugin that Antelope platform offers, in your opinion, as a seasoned producer and engineer?
Oh,
I know best is very divisive, but the one that you go to most regularly, let's say that, shall we?
the 4K comp 4K strip, which is the SSL 4K bus compressor,
Right.
is awesome.
And if you were to find an SSL 4K bus compressor and deliver it into Dave, how much money would you part with?
Oh, lots of dough, lots of money. I mean, well into over 4 figures.
Okay. So you get 3.5 years of this subscription before you've got one thing.
Yeah, and you can use it, and you can use one of them at a time.
Yeah.
Whereas this, there are no, but this is kind of not my point. No one gives UA a hard time with a subscription model. Even Avid, everyone these days is going, oh, it's not as bad as it was. Whereas everyone is giving Antelope a hard time. Antelope, it really annoys me because they do some really cool stuff. Yes, their messaging sometimes is a little bit off, and some of their marketing decisions are a little bit questionable. But it really annoys me that people start jumping up and down and throwing their toys out the playpen.
How many of those people that are getting annoyed have got Spotify, iTunes, Prime, Disney, Netflix? Why aren't they getting annoyed about the fact that they don't get that for free as well?
Yeah, I mean, because of course development doesn't cost; it's free, isn't it? So yeah, I only just brought those up because they are other subscription models that clearly are working for people. Clearly, the Slate one worked. It worked so well. Stephen sold the company and is sitting on his island in the Bahamas.
Well batted, sir. Well
allegedly. The other thing that I don't think necessarily this is news, but this particular brand was brought across my desk today by Steve Genowick. And I looked at this and went, ooh, they're nice. Ooh, Sun Dragon, that looks very nice. Oh, there's a Jimmy Page edition. That looks very nice. They look a bit different as well. They look quite cool. And I went, let's have a look at the amps then. Let's have a look at that one. I went, oh, look at that. That looks proper kind of Supro kind of Selmery kind of very retro. And I went, oh, that looks nice. And then I saw the limited edition one. I went, oh, that looks really nice. Oh, and it's got Jimmy Page's signature on it. And then I saw the price.
Man alive.
Even the standard is $3,875. The Jimmy Page is $12,500.
And that's what that limited edition one was at the time.
Yes.
So this was this 2020 that these came out? 2021, I think. So if you parted with 12.5 grand at that point, what would it now be worth in the collector's market, as it were? And without wishing to be morbid, presumably at some point in the next 20 years, he's probably going to outlive me because he's a man of rock. But when Jimmy goes and joins Bonzo, what are they going to be worth there?
Yes.
Remarkable thing. I suspect if you were to take £2,000 and you could find a Selma upon which this is based, my understanding, and then spend £1,000 on a tech going, well, the caps are shot. I'd like to change the transformer for something that'll stand up to being gigged. The speaker's shot. You'll need another one of them, plus my time. I reckon you could save comfortably £1,000, maybe even 50%, and still get something that sounds pretty similar in terms of sonic delightfulness. But I'm a cynical northern bugger that doesn't like parting with his cash.
So what have you found in the glories of the weeks of tech news and updates and stuff?
Let me have a little look. Not a great deal, I must confess.
Share my screen. Let me stop my screen share now because
can you all see that? Because I can't see you anymore.
And now there we go.
Excellent. On occasion, when I have filled or kept the seat warm for either Paul or James, you will have become bored of me, dear viewer, waffling on about how much I love Joey Landreth. I've come to the wrong pedal, haven't I? This is the original Golden Boy, which he did with Jackson Audio, which is essentially a blues breaker and a tube screamer in one box. There is now, if we can find it, here we go. We'll go to the Bax store again. There is now an marginally cheaper version, which does ostensibly the same thing for slightly less money. So doesn't have the two switches, as you can see, just the one.
No, we can't. Yeah, click on it. We can't see it.
Oh, right. Hang on. Share this tab instead. Can you see
That's
it now?
yeah, we can now, yes.
Apologies. I'm getting beaten by technology. I apologize. So this is the single switch version. And if I can manage to zoom up on it, there we go. So asymmetrical and LED. What's he called? Jackson? I can't remember his first name. Anyway, Mr. Jackson Audio was in discussion with Joey and said, what sounds are you using whilst you're on tour? And he said, for the most part, I'm setting it and forgetting it. I either use the asymmetrical or the LED, and that's it. So whilst the original version has got all manner of different cycling options through gain levels and all the rest of it, this is far more traditional in terms of you turn it on and that is the sound what you do get.
Nice.
But it's still a nicely made thing, and if Joey's happy with it, I suspect mortals such as myself would probably also be all right with it. Right. So let me see. If I go to this, can you now see the TC Binson Echo Rec?
No, you have stopped sharing for some reason.
Oh dear Lord! Bear with. Let me go from here.
Don't get this ball, bloke.
There he is. All right. Well, if you couldn't see it, let's throw it into the equation. Before we came on air, viewers, James and I were discussing the fact that the TC Binson Echo Rec, or T-Rex rather, Binson Echo Rec, that was kind of unveiled at NAMM, is still very much on a put your order in now. You can pre-order and we'll get you one when we can at Anderton's here in the UK. James, let's just have a little quiz. What do you think a foot pedal that sounds like an Echo Rec would cost you?
$500, 500 quid.
Okay, there's you warming up. I'll ask you again. What do you think?
Okay, let's go £1,000.
Okay, you're warming to the task, sir. What do you think?
1,500?
Here we go.
I'm not even close, am I?
£1,749. Can you see that?
I can. Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Oh, I want that in my life.
Wowie McWowie.
Look at it, though. The only problem is that I want the real one.
Yeah,
I love
of course.
the real deal. And the only problem with the real deal is they're really expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But look at that.
All four heads, tone, repeats. Yeah, it does look like a lot of fun, doesn't it? I saw on their whichever social it was, it might have been Insta, that they put some footage of them actually machining the drum element. So they've really gone to town on it. Oh, there we go. There we go. Look at that.
Look at that.
Oh, I've gone too far. I can't. Oh, there we are. Sorted it. So the head's around the side. So this beautiful shiny disc, they've been manufacturing, you know, the real deal. They have spared no expense in producing this thing. So I'm guessing they're able to an extent to justify nigh on 1,800 new English pounds. But all the same, sorry, I'm going to come back out of this and try and stop my share now.
I can do that.
There we go. Yeah, if you had the fat end of 1,800 quid and were told, put a pedal board together, I bet you could come up with some pretty decent sounds that might mask the fact that you haven't just spent £1,800 on one delay pedal.
Yeah, I still would. I still would get one of those every day of the
Yeah.
week.
Based on how fizzy people have been about that DM101 that came out last week, I'd love to see an AB against that. See just how close it gets, given that that's all analog loveliness. Because that's 500 quid as near as makes the difference from memory. That'd still leave you with fat end of 1,300 quid to get some nice drive pedals, bit of modulation, bit of reverb, decent power supply. I'd quite happily play that game. But
You know how we said earlier, Pooh Ninja said dogs like guitars?
yes.
It's just dawned on me that it's a reference to the golden retriever in the guitar case.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a bit slow.
He's had a busy day, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
Or lady and gentlemen, I believe is what the demographic tell them.
Pennies have dropped. Should we jump back into some of these questions?
Yes, slow news week as far as we can make out, everybody. If you've spotted anything that we've missed, please share with the group.
Anybody want to share?
David, I opened for Jerry Lee Lewis in Austin. We were supposed to play for an hour. After 3 hours, people were rather irate. His manager showed up and told me he'd been there when the killer's ready. He'd be there when the killer's ready. Well, so presumably he wants them to be at the point of bottling the support act off before he shows up and gets his juices flowing. Blimey.
I have to admit, I've been the support act and done my 45 minutes and gone, right, we're off, bye.
Yeah.
Because
not getting paid enough for this.
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah, they've come to see you, not us. Hollywood's back. Regarding plec machines, with more retailers getting one, price of them must have dropped to make it viable. Or is the amount of money that they can charge for the use thereof making it viable for them to invest? I don't know.
That's scary.
Dave, Ned, find the best drummer and steal him. The way of rock and roll. Absolutely. Yeah. Get the good people and make them join your band. HK. Remind me who HK is. I've got a suspicion that we had this out a few months back. Anyway, drummers are great. Drummer jokes never truly hit, as all drummers I know knew are great. Well, there you go.
I'll go with that.
Ned's back. On a more fun note, I got a package deal on 2 used guitars this Saturday. Fender Tele Jim Adkins Signature and a Yamaha Revstar RSE20. 482. Oh, right, yeah, 482 quid. Blimey, yeah, not bad. I would agree. Nice work, Ned. Nice work. Justin. Oh, this blogger. Hello, Justin. I remember you being very happy to see me last week. I'm pleased that I'm still brightening your Wednesday evening. God bless you, sir, and all that ride in you.
He likes me, clearly.
Yes, he's all right with you. He knows that I'm just the substitute until Paul gets back. Al, I'm definitely going to NAMM. See you there. Good stuff, Al.
We actually get together in the UK. I have so many friends that I only ever see when I go to NAMM, even those from the UK. Which is always slightly strange, but yes, we will get together there. We will do the whole thing. And Monday, so Paul and I fly in Tuesday, fly out Monday. So if you fancy doing a Norms trip on the Monday before we fly out, that might be fun.
Nice. Yeah, might be expensive.
No.
Hello, John. Good evening to you. Got another Kiesel on the way.
Hey!
Is it an actual sponsorship gig with Kiesel for John? I don't know. It's a CS3 Les Paul type in purple lavender finish. P90s, maple top, chambered body, mahogany body, roasted maple neck, and an ebony fretboard. That sounds like it's ticking an awful lot of the right boxes, John. I hope you enjoy that when it arrives. Please let us know how you get on with it. Max, good evening to you, sir. Hello, boys.
He's in the Jesus.
There's Aaron. Hello, mate. I was looking at videos of the TC Voice Live 3X and saw your demo from way back. It was well done. You should do more vocal demos. Well, you still do with the Antelope stuff, don't you? In and amongst.
I sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so with the plans for Studio Rats Tech Talk, that will be happening
Yeah.
again. And
I
stuff happening.
understand.
Basically, the reason that's not gone live yet is because we want to get a reasonable sort of quantity of videos together before we go live. It's
Yeah,
because
fair play.
that seems like a
Makes
sensible thing
sense.
to do. And
Mhm.
there's been a gazillion other things going on because it's that time of the year.
Mm. It was a nicely done video, Aaron. I bought one as a result of James inadvertently selling it to me. Max, dominant Pythagorean all day long. Oh, they're talking about expensive chords and dusty frets in my world, James.
Yeah, yeah.
Aaron, Poo Ninja, I saw your video today and left you a comment. Is Poo Ninja an actual channel on the YouTubes? I'm going to have a look right
No.
now.
HK says Mixolydian is a mode, not a scale. Technically speaking, he's right.
Yeah, give you that.
But a mode is a scale, isn't it? Surely, it's just it's a scale where you start. You don't necessarily start on the root.
Yeah, it's
Anyway, moving on.
ultimately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything there in terms of that. I play in a demolished. Very good, Aaron. Very good.
Yeah.
Duncan, will be interesting to see what Paul thinks of the new PRS Telestar guitar. We did. I can't remember if it was last week or the week before when Lee was on. It was discussed to some. Oh, was that when we were in Bournemouth still when that came
Yeah, we
out?
talked about. Yeah, we were in Bournemouth, and then we talked about it. They do look very nice.
Yeah, perhaps it's just that it's new. When the Silver Sky came out, I thought, oh, it's strapped, but the headstock looks wrong. When I first saw that Telly style, I thought, oh, it's Telly, but the headstock looks wrong. Whereas now I look at the Silver Sky and I think, well, that's quite pleasant actually.
To
It's
use
grown
a
on me.
James Mayism,
Mm.
if I may, PRS are a bit like Munich. They're beautifully clean. They're amazing, and they're totally functional. And you know they're absolutely work beyond belief. But nobody says, "Oh, I really want to go to Munich."
Yes, yeah. Although I went to Munich and really enjoyed myself.
And I've been, and I've really enjoyed it. But you know, Munich Airport is one of those one of those incredibly, and I can say this safely because anyone who is German will know what I mean. It's an incredibly German airport. It's very streamlined and fluid, and everything just works.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mohammed, Halo.
Hello.
I wonder if
At last.
Oh, don't encourage him, Ned. I wonder if Mohammed was asking, was A saying hello in slightly different spelling, or
Hello.
B referencing the fact that I've been waxing lyrical on my little channel about the Halo sound. Either way, hello, Mohammed. Hope you're well. And Ned, finally asking James the question that everybody wants to hear the answer to. I was very selfishly going to ruin it by saying the one from the show on the TV that was sat on the wall in the music shop, but I'll be quiet and let you tell the tale.
I'm not going to tell it. I think everyone's heard that story. It's a 1958 Ludwig WFL that we think was. I'll do the very, very short version of the story that we think was used on What's It All About, Alfie Cilla Black. We think it was used on the Italian Job soundtrack. But as in, this is the self-preservation. But we have documentary footage and evidence and signed photographs that it is the snare drum that starts the closing credits of Only Fools and Horses. And if you don't know what that sounds like, go onto YouTube and you'll hear that drum. It's amazing. And people even ask for it. Can you have we play that? Can you have that drum, please, on the track? It's awesome.
Nice.
So there we go. We should jump down here briefly because some people have been incredibly generous.
Nice one, Pet. Thank you, mate. FFF. This skimp again. Sorry, James. Great show as always. What's your skincare regime, Jets?
I am a Nivea boy. Nivea extra sensitive post shave balm. That's me done.
Sweet. Lacora here. There we go. What about you, Pet? What's your choice?
And
bring me. Hi, Rats. Talking guitars. I scored a used Heritage 535. I like how Heritage placed the jack on the side. The middle position sounds are amazing. Do you all consider the middle position overlooked? For the most part, yeah,
I used to until Paul told me to use the middle position,
Uh-huh.
and then all of a sudden on my my 335 sounds amazing, and I'm like, all I want to do is just roll the neck, pick up back a little, and that's my 335 sound now. Beautiful.
Nice.
It's a beautiful thing. Other than that, yes, it's a thing. We need to pick up the pace because, quite frankly, we've got a lot to get through, and yes,
yeah, we're jumping up and down. I can
we
see
are.
a list of comments here that I can't
Yes.
really keep. Yeah, right. Chris, good evening to you, sir, and good evening, Rats. One for you, James. A band is essentially a drummer and a bassist plus assorted novelty acts. So says Pink Floyd's Nick Mason and his saucer full of secrets.
Nick Mason is also on the record as saying, "I've made a lot of money from playing the drums very averagely." I heard him say this, therefore it's okay.
Yeah. HK's back. That national telly, James, looks lovely too.
Is indeed. It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing.
And the Lord is back. I already have the Spark, fair enough, and it's fantastic for home use. Best I've ever had. In which case, why do you need the Nux? Would be my question. What does it do that a Spark doesn't?
Not sure it does anything particularly, but maybe we're missing thing. But he says,
but the Nux Mighty Space is getting called the Spark Killer. I see.
Okay.
Okay. So has it got an all singing, all dancing app, perhaps, that makes it betterer? Jeff, hello, Jeff. And just as an aside, thank you for your kind comments on my videos this week. On the topic of scales, some people look down their noses at pentatonic because they think it's for beginners. It's actually just a diatonic scale minus notes that are a half step from a chord tone. There we go. People get quite sniffy, I think, about but I like this mode and that mode and this, that, and the other. As a classically trained cellist, I'm very much of the opinion that it's a major scale, it's a minor scale. You simply start on a different degree, as James alluded to earlier. Jeff, I interpret Jeff's comment as someone who is very learned, simply pointing out the bleeding obvious. Pentatonic might be, I suppose, the other thing, and I'll get out of the way and let you have your say on it, James. Pentatonic might be relatively straightforward on guitar compared to some other things. Do it really tastefully and well instead of just ticking all of the hack licks and all the rest of it. Anyway, that's my piece. What do you reckon, Jamie?
I would say that I once heard, what was his name? The guy who used to do blues headlines on Guitarist magazine.
Jeff, not Jeff Whitehorn.
No, forgotten the guy's name.
Neville Peer, Neville
Martin. I remember him saying once on a Dave Gilmour about a Dave Gilmour transcription. He said, and Pink Floyd's music is nothing if not blues based. And I'm like, everything Gilmour ever does is pentatonic and blues based. You're only ever half a note. You're only ever one fret away from the right note. Remember that.
Yeah, quite.
And if you hit a wrong note, hit it again, and it becomes a right note.
Yeah, sometimes that half a note can be an absolute chasm. I think back to the night that I performed in a scratch band at the Rill Pavilion, which is there's a small country attached to England called Wales for our international viewers. And there is a pavilion in Rill in the north of Wales. And in a scratch band, I can't remember this girl's name, but she was doing a warm-up performance before going to do a run in London. And on one stunning track, just before the last kind of moments, everything came to a halt. And I arpeggiated a beautiful D major chord. And as I hit that third, everybody turned round and I knew immediately it was a D minor.
I've been known to do things like. Just if you're wrong, bend into it. That way, you did it on purpose.
Own it as best you can.
Yeah.
Really difficult when everybody comes to a grinding halt and you're in the wrong place on a Piccadilly third.
The only thing that really gives it away is when the entire audience sucks their own teeth off and go.
Yeah, as did everybody else in the band. In fairness, I immediately wanted that gig to end. John and Greg, don't worry. You aren't just advertising with Beza. Reframe it as helping a fellow guitarist afford more keys.
Yep, like that.
Very good, sir. Very good. Jeff, if you can readily locate the major and minor pentatonics via root notes, chords, triads, or whatever, they're a great foundation upon which you can add missing or other notes as required.
Absolutely.
I think we need Jeff to do a vlog of, look, it might be straightforward, but these are the things that are really close. Elaborate on this. Perhaps
the moment you realize that the minor pentatonic is 3 frets away from where you are in the major pentatonic, that is a huge moment of guitar playing reality, because all of a sudden a lot more of the fingerboard is opened up to you.
Sure. Yeah. Max, Lord Bransty. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's not a spark killer. Spark alternative would be do. Is that too reductive? I wonder if Nux, whatever, have actually done something that progresses it further. Who knows? Who knows? John, I think the Wazza cab has been out for a few years. Has it? There has been a B stock one available at one of my local shops. It's made for Boss Wazza 150 guitar head rather than the Katana artist head. I wonder if that's the head that was atop the picture then. 150 watt. I didn't even know that thing existed. Wow.
No. Oh, here we go. I've just seen why it got busy.
Where's the guitar chat? Who's this Studio Rots? They Studio Rots? It's all drum and cello this way. Diluted to the hilt. I do apologise. Well, if he's in the chat, why isn't he coming on and doing a shift? It's his blooming company, for heaven's sake. Why am I sat here doing this at enormous cost to my own detriment? I don't know. I don't want to get too feisty, otherwise Justin will get the boot back in. HK, UAD are constantly doing deals to tempt users over. They are, aren't they? It seems to be a thing. Some people have got theories as to whether or not it's looking a bit shaky at UAD towers, but we wouldn't possibly comment on such things.
No. My name's Clarkson.
Yes. Paul says, should we chat guitars amongst ourselves? It's been a slow guitar week, Paul. However, I must say, in your absence, we've actually got into the real weeds here in terms of actual music theory and scales and chords.
That's why he's not when you're around. That's not why he's not joining in.
Yeah, keeping his trap shut. I only just clicked. What was HK looking at? I'm not sure.
Yes, UAD probably, I think.
Sure, it's hungover with eyes like something in the... Well batted, pet. Well batted. On a school night as well. Very good. Oh, you're very welcome. Your acoustic reminds me of mine. Brilliant. A Turner guitar, Taylor copy, basically. Cheap at the time and good quality wood. Action is high, but still sounds fantastic to me. Exactly. And I bet you and it have been through some scrapes, and they will go to the grave with you. Good for you, Hollywood. Pet, our annual lads outing last night. They are fewer the older you get, so we go all out. Yeah, fair play, Pet. I think that's the thing of gentlemen of our age, isn't it? I'm lumping you in with this baldy over here. Just got to take the opportunity when you can. Michael Jackson, what on earth is Drew on about now? Janet Jackson, Tito, what? Oh, Jackson Audio. Oh, right, Alan Jackson. He's just catching up with the Jackson Audio. Nobby Jackson. Yeah, that was it. Nobby played left wing back from Tottenham Hotspurs. Max, James, are you going to Gearfest?
No, I'm not. It's this weekend because I wanted to go. I can't. I've got family commitments because I've been away for what feels like every weekend this year. I thought I should spend some time with the family. So yeah, Sorry, I shall be at the next one. I'll be at NAMM.
There we go. K-Sharp. Is that Kevin? I ask this every week. I apologise for being ignorant, K-Sharp. James, any new amp purchases? Yes, we've discussed a few of those.
There'll be videos of those coming fairly shortly. Paul's coming up tomorrow. We've got a bit of an amp sesh going on and loads of other stuff going on. But then on Friday we'll shoot some new amp stuff and some new stuff for the channel.
Nice.
Very
nice,
exciting.
Nice. Charles, good evening to you. Brazil. Oh, blimey, Charlie.
Not even going to go there. You don't speak Portuguese, and neither do I.
No.
Just well done, Charles.
Yes, apologies, Charles. I'm sorry to be so reductive, but I have trouble enough with English, people tell me, given that I'm Northern. Dave's back. Since you're scheduling things in advance, you need to mark down the Rival Sons shows in England in October. That's a good shout, mate. I'm going to make a little note of that. In fact, I'm going to send it to our group chat, Jivey, so that we can investigate. Rival Sons. I tell you what, Paul can research that whilst we're here doing his job for him. On we go.
Right. Boom.
Max,
Here we go.
while you were away, James, I got to see and meet Lee and play the same festival. Sadly, different day. Yes, Max.
I saw that picture.
Yeah, was it in Abingdon? Somewhere around Oxford way, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How did it go, Max? How was your set?
I suspect noodly, probably.
Good enough. That's what we like. Marvellous. Al, a visit to NAMM, definitely. Let's do it. We'll touch base soon. Brilliant. Good stuff. If you all have a pact before you walk in there, I won't let you buy anything if you don't let me buy anything.
I would never do that to a fellow guitar nerd.
Good evening, Glenn Martin. Guys, it's interesting how the major guitar brands are now very focused on their custom shop and master built models. The base models' build quality are questionable.
It's because they're great guitars coming through with next to no money on them. The price tickets are really, really low. So the Fenders and Gibsons of the world have got to concentrate on the master builts and the Murphy Labs and all that sort of stuff, because that's where the money is. Those guys are still spending.
Yeah. Produce and ship one unit at $5,000 as opposed to producing and shipping 50 units. That's substantially less.
Yeah.
Ned, I don't like the neck joint on the PRS T style. It seems huge. They could have done a cutaway heel like most modern guitar companies. I'm intrigued by it. I really am. When PRS visited that pedal show, was that this year? I think it was a few months back, wasn't it? And he made reference to the fact that he had something to show them that everybody, well, I just assumed would be a Telecaster. I wonder if, given that they're dyed-in-the-wool sort of traditionalists, as it were, they said, yep, great, nice one, as opposed to, well, the headstock looks wrong compared to the people from Corona, California. Why not take a chunk out of the heel as well and go for it? I don't know. Now, James, you have to play that snare with a kit on a song in one of your videos, a demo or a song or something. It'd be fun to hear in action. I agree.
It has
presumably been used. That will be on the microphone series that you're going to put out, the Curtis video for you.
Yes, it will be. Yes, there's a whole drum recording tutorial series coming. It's just taking so long to pull together. There is so much footage. It's taking forever, but it will be done. It looks and sounds amazing so far. So,
it will be part of the launch of the TSR2 channel. So indeed. Watch these spaces for more information about that. Pet's back. Just got myself a Tommy Emmanuel signature company down. Oh, now Pet, I have seen a number of your videos. Your acoustic sounds, the acoustic which I have seen you playing, sounds remarkable, and you've upgraded to a signature. That must be outstanding. Sandpaper and White Spirit seems to work for my skin.
As long as it doesn't work on the guitar.
Ouch. Whatever floats your boat, Pet. Son of a Wheelchair's back. How much do you value a guitar's beauty? I've spent 3 times what I need to get a guitar whose beauty Pulls me off the couch on the regular. Well worth it considering the extra practice I get because of it. When I bought that Telecaster that I was waxing lyrical about earlier, I walked into the guitar shop that I used to work in my teen years and saw a chap that I used to go to school with in my teen years and said, "All right, Rich, I need a Telecaster. What have you got?" And he said, "I've got 3. You'll only buy one of them." And I bought that one. The fact that it's the prettiest, or it was the prettiest of the 3, is just a happy coincidence. It felt better, it sounded better, and it looks fit. There are Mick Taylor regularly references on that pedal show, and I'm just repeating, the logic of a very learned gentleman. Buy the one that looks the best. Buy the one that looks the best. Buy the one that looks the best, and then worry about everything else afterwards. And I know that he occasionally has tongue in cheek, but I kind of get it. And based on your experience as well, Sen, it seems to apply, doesn't it? What guitar are you talking about that gets you off the couch on the regular?
I suppose, first of, as we all know from our Wednesday night gatherings, mine and Paul's take on what is a pretty guitar is 2 very different things very often. I often go for the wildly coloured ones and the flame tops and all that sort of stuff, and he's not that bothered by it. But at the same time, if the guitar plays beautifully and sounds great, it could look like a dog, and I really not that bothered.
That's it. Yeah,
we're not using the phrase "dog like golden retriever" because they're beautiful, but you know what I mean.
Indeed. There we are. Joe, hello. Has Joe been on before? Again, that looks like a new name to me.
After his next comment, he's not going to be on again.
I'm eating a reduced sandwich from the co-op for my dinner. Should have splurged on a pot noodle. Happy Wednesday, guys and gals. Small country attached to England. Well, bye to any Welsh for you. Look, England's a small country. England fits into pretty much every state in America, doesn't it?
Several times over.
Yeah. Sorry if I offended you, Joe, or indeed the Welsh. There we are. Justin will be in a minute to say how much of a horrible human I am about offending the Welsh. Pet, it's just me then. You see, Pet's still hanging around, Joe. Joe knows I'm understanding. And you're in Scotland, so we were up there a few weeks ago, weren't we, Jivey?
We were.
I'm sure they look at it the same way, an inconvenience. Not at all. I think it is a beautiful land, I think they did the right thing taking Hadrian's little creation down.
I think politics has no place on this particular channel. So
indeed. Pet, Real is my old stomping ground. It's a place that should have labelled. Should be labelled as a hellmouth. Good Lord. Max, that said, I've played the Pivy a few times, escaping with your gear intact and achievement. You wouldn't believe it, given my current state of affairs. One of the other resounding memories of that night is that one of the dancing girls stole my hairbrush. I was livid because I spent nearly £20 on that thing.
Because believe it or not,
days when there was something there. Yeah.
Greg spends hours doing his hair, and then every morning forgets to put it on. This reminds me of a joke, and I will get this one in just before we've got a few more to get through. We're talking about gigging stories earlier on. We were on our way to a gig in Swansea, which is the other end of Wales, and being picked up on a particular point on the M25, where the motorway that goes around London, and the van was late, and they were like 4 hours late, and then we sat on the motorway between London and Wales for several thousand hours while whatever happened. We were so late. We got there, and they went, "You're late." We said, "We know." Unloaded the van, didn't do a sound check, did the gig, packed the van, had an awful gig. It was horrific. We did our 2-hour set straight through, packed up. And I said, "I need a pint. We haven't stopped. We haven't had dinner, food or anything. I need a pint." 4 of us went to the bar, ordered 4 pints of lager, and our keyboard player, who shall be called John, because that's his name, this 7'2" Welsh miner in drag looked at him and went, and I apologise for the accent, "You're a big fella." 4 pints of lager, necked, gone, out the door, back on the motorway, back home to London.
Brilliant.
Yes. Yeah,
Brilliant.
one of those nights.
Good
Moving
Lord.
on.
Jeff, a recent light bulb moment was realizing that the minor third in a major key is exactly the same as the blue note, the flat 5, in the relative minor key. Everything's connected. And the next comment.
Does anybody else just not play notes? When I'm soloing, I just play notes and see what works. I know that's a drummer point of view rather than necessarily a musician. I just put notes down and see what happens.
Are you perhaps playing shapes more specifically?
Probably. I've definitely got my sort of 4 or 5 shapes that I can do in any key really fast. But if I'm actually writing a solo for a song where I know it's not just I'll just play notes and see what works. And occasionally you go, well, that's nice, and it'll lead you somewhere. So I think we get hung up on scales and arpeggios and all that sort of stuff. Very useful for practice and getting your fingers in, but sometimes just play random notes and see what works.
Hollywood. Yes, we need Jeff's wisdom with a demonstration on a future live feed, maybe.
That would be good.
Whereabouts in the world is Jeff?
I don't know.
I wonder if it is sociable for him to be able to join us in some capacity in the future. Max, we got very nice reviews. Good. I'm glad it went well, mate. Good on you. Roomy, rats, having trouble stopping bass cab bleed in my small live room. I am putting bassists through the sounds amp to prevent this and reamping later. Is there any other strategy? I will defer to Mr. Ivy's greater recording experience by a country mile than my own here, Roomy. Over to you, sir.
I tend to not bother with a bass cab when I'm recording because, as you say, it's going to get on everything. There are such things as things like what's it called again? Grossman cabinet, ISO cabinets for bass. You could put a 10-inch bass speaker in there, no problem, and it would work brilliantly. But to be honest, my bass rig for the last X number of years has been my Alpha Omega Dark Glass amp, just using the DI output. I did do a session a few years ago in a big enough studio where they had an Ampeg SVT and the 8x10, and we put it in one of the ISO booths and mic'd it and stuff, and it sounded glorious. But in the amount of recording I've done in years of doing it, very, very rarely do I put a mic on a bass amp. I mean, occasionally you get a moment of genius where you leave something up and you go, "Oh, that's nice," but I don't normally bother. And if you're in a live situation where you've got a bass up on stage, it doesn't matter. You've got bleed from everything. Maybe persuade your bass player, if it's not you, to turn down a little bit and put some in their in-ear monitors or through their wedge or something. But I mean, it's difficult. It's a difficult one. Not knowing the exact scenario in which, in a small living room, I would say don't bother. I would say DI.
Well, I'm reading that as live room.
Live room. Yes, small live room. But still, in a small live room, I'd still DI. I wouldn't want a bass amp live in this room, and this is not small. It's not Abbey Road 1, but
so I try to be a guitarist. I'm going to argue the case for the other end of the sonic scale, if you will. Guitarists like to turn their amplifiers up so they can get that nice feedback loop between instrument, speaker, self, and I love that. I love whacking a valve amp loud, tube for you American listeners, and getting that extra that volume provides. Why shouldn't a bass player be able to get the same thing? Yes, some folks go transistor rather than valve, but if volume is the thing that gets the hairs on the back of their neck up and their performance is improved as a result, why are they the second-class citizen to guitarists or indeed drummers?
The only problem is that bass is wildly uncontrollable. Bass is multi-directional. It doesn't. It is very difficult to stop. Whereas guitar cabinets are far easier to put them, put baffles around them or whatever, that sort of stuff. It is far easier to control guitar. Drums, they put us in a box generally, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about a small library. The solution is for the bass player to go on ears and go DI.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect world, but you're not in a perfect world because you're in a small live room.
Yeah, true enough. True enough. There we are. Sense back. Actually, I have two. What are the guitars that really get you eggs boiling? A translucent red quilted Strat sounds fit, and a cobalt blue quilted private stock McCarthy.
Nice.
Sorry. Yes. Oh, delightful. Pet, that 7-footer is my second cousin. My great nan's side. Small world, isn't it?
I knew someone would dive in with one.
Ned, I also play notes and see what works. Yeah, following your logic, Jamie. There are some things that I just like the sound of, and that's the thing. It can even be a bit dissonant, but if it works, it works. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Listen to a bit of Schoenberg. See how the kids get on with that next time you're at a loose end of what to listen to. Takes all sorts to make the world go around. David, thanks, mates. Have a great week. Looking forward to the big news. Cheers, David. Good night to you, sir. Rumi, Arpeggios was a nightclub where I met my lovely Korean wife in Seoul. Marvellous. There's you, covering all bases, James. Al, right, see you both next Wednesday. Have a great week, one and all. You too, Al. All the best to you, pal. Max, Pet. Where's your Nan Barbara from Riska? Was your Nan Barbara from Riska? Riska is just down the road from Abercarn, where I used to visit on occasion when I worked for a company that had a factory out there. Just down the road, Riska. In a really geeky way. It's got a lovely Tesco's. Really enjoyed the Tesco's in Riska. Jeff, I'm in Suzy Brizzy. Oh, of course you are. You've mentioned that before, haven't you? Jamie's exploratory notes sound great. They sound great for a reason. If you know the reason, then you can replicate it at will. E.g., this will sound nice with a ninth. Jeff, we absolutely have to get you on, but I think we might need to leave it a couple of weeks, maybe months, until after the dust has settled on the ashes. I'm getting a bit nervous about that. Pet, Max, yeah, she lives next door to Mary, who keeps chickens, not to eat, just as pets. Of course she does. Good old Mazza. Oh, good Lord. That'll confuse the boys. I do apologise if I just sweared in a foreign language.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure this evening. I'm confused, I'm lost, and I don't care. I'd say this at this point, normal service will be resumed next week. I've got no idea if it will or not. Things tend to change on a minute-by-minute basis around here at the minute. But I hope you enjoyed tonight. We certainly have, as always. So for now, my name's James Ivey.
I'm Greg.
Who's not Paul Drew. And we'll see you again very soon. Take care, everyone. Have a safe week, and we'll see you very soon. Night-night.